Tonight, Ukraine under attack.
I think the pandemic is over.
Now, this is the queue before you get into the official queue.
Anthony Albanese, elected our 31st Prime Minister.
Hope always defeats hate.
Lismore is post-apocalyptic.
In Shanghai, people chanted in the streets, "We want freedom."
Get lost, these female students chant as they march on the campus at Tehran University.
Australia's energy crisis has hit one of our favourite brands of chips, with the price of cheesels set to rise.
I'm certainly sorry if people listened to what we'd said.
The fact that ministers were unaware of these things is actually proof of my lack of interference.
One voter almost lost his pants with excitement at the sight of the Labor leader.
Oh no, that's not good.
A beer-drinking therapy pony who drinks Irish stouts and is a regular visitor at the pub. Well, he's been appointed mayor. Of course he has. Tonight, catastrophic flooding hits the state's northeast, submerging the town of Lismore and trapping residents.
A natural disaster on a scale never seen before.
I'm advised it's a 1 in 500 year flood.
Sees a once in 1,000 years flood emergency.
It's a 1 in 3,500 year event.
Sydney has now had more than a year's worth of rain, and we are barely into the 4th month.
When will the rain stop?
We are now seeing flood upon flood upon flood.
When will the extreme weather end?
We've solved the drought. We've obviously fixed that problem.
And still the rain keeps falling.
Can't believe how much water there is.
Hopefully it goes back down. Fingers crossed.
We've got a boat in, boat out, which is fun. I'll learn how to drive this boat one day.
It's all happening.
Tonight, Russia attacks Ukraine.
It's war.
It's war.
Russia launches a full-scale invasion.
We will strive to demilitarise and denazify Ukraine.
Well, back home, and the Prime Minister has not held back.
There is no course that Russia can follow other than to just a step back. Russia should step back.
I call upon Russia to back off.
Australia has also announced a new round of sanctions against Russia.
We can't have them be able to go around and moving their money and going shopping at Harrods. They shouldn't be allowed to go and shop at Harrods.
Putin says he's only targeting military targets.
Bullshit. Sorry.
Good evening. It's on. After weeks of speculation, millions of Australians will head to the polls on May the 21st.
Anthony Albanese has fallen at the first hurdle today, unable to remember Australia's unemployment and interest rates.
I think it's 5.4. Sorry.
I have an economic plan. Anthony Albanese doesn't. He's a loose unit on the economy.
Okay, thank you for your time, Prime Minister. After the break, a much-needed change of pace. We go behind the wheel with Lexi, the driving dog.
What's the current WPI?
Google it, mate. I mean...
Lettuce prices have soared to as much as $12.
Largely due to Queensland's floods.
With lettuce so scarce and so expensive, KFC is now using cabbage on their burgers.
An iceberg lettuce, $5.50.
You can't necessarily change the price of a lettuce.
You better do something.
Looking for a bump in the polls.
Which have been a headache for him all year.
An open and shut case of how not to weld. Australia votes for change.
I've returned to public housing. And I have shared the 2 principles that will drive a government that I lead. No one left behind, because we should always look after the disadvantaged and the vulnerable. But also no one held back.
And it just makes me so angry, because this country is better than that.
We will see our living standards crushed, our livelihoods damaged, our cultural institutions devastated, our kids' future prosperity decimated.
You're just up against an it's time proposition, people. People change the curtains sometimes, not because the curtains don't work, they're just sick of them.
Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has touched down in Fiji.
Mr Albanese touched down in Jakarta.
Touching down in Makassar.
Arriving in Paris.
Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's in Madrid.
If you fall asleep while you're here, it's okay.
Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has channeled his inner Bob Hawke, sculling a beer at a gang of youths concert.
Fat man scoop, elbow! Fat man scoop, elbow!
Well, the federal government has been accused of hypocrisy over a decision to release thousands of square kilometres of offshore waters for oil and gas exploration.
People still put petrol in their cars at the moment. I don't know how you got to the press conference, but chances are it was in a car. Am I right?
Tonight, COVID isolation scrapped. National Cabinet declares Australia's emergency pandemic response is over.
It's time to move away from COVID exceptionalism.
I think the pandemic is over.
The support for people without sick leave will also end next month.
It isn't sustainable for government to pay people's wages forever.
Further mandating of masks was not the most effective way to get the message out about the importance of mask wearing.
Liberty, freedom, that's what makes our country great.
A fourth wave of COVID-19 is hitting the country and some hospitals are not coping.
Case numbers are climbing. Hospitalisations have climbed as well.
The state of our hospital system is costing lives, according to healthcare staff.
This is basically third world.
This is Australia living with the virus. Look it out there, and Australians taking wickets in the virus.
They are indeed.
This is ABC News. We're interrupting our programs to inform you Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II has died.
She lived a pretty awesome life, didn't she?
Wonder how many corgis she said.
We freaked out when we found out that the Queen died, honestly. Yeah.
Really excited, but really sad.
Oh, he's just a gentleman, like his mother, that's basically his mother, you know, the Queen herself.
And all those monarchs from figures well known, King Arthur, Henry VIII and so on. The longest reigning of them all was Queen Elizabeth II.
It's all happening.
News Fighters, Australia's funniest news summary podcast.